If I was growing collards right now and it rained and the sun came out, we'd have steamed collards outside. Well, I'm sure I don't need to tell you, but it's hotter than 50 hells outside, and I need to keep part of my garden cool, so we're gonna cool it off once and for all, hopefully. At least we're gonna lower the temperature by about 10 degrees. You can see we started planting our Brussels sprouts and we've got 2 rows done. We're waiting to do another row. I'm not really gonna push it right now because it's supposed to be 98 degrees for the next 3 days, and then it's gonna stay in the middle to low 90s after that for a little while. So I think what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna wait for a break. And up until now, it hasn't been terrible, but these plants are coming out here. If I come out here in the afternoons, they really and truly are struggling. I mean, they're wilting, they're suffering, and so why not give them a little bit of break from the heat? Not to mention I have this whole other tray down here that I need to do the same. I like to keep them together. So we're gonna create a structure, and it's pretty simple. I've never built one like this before, but it made sense to me. I kind of thought like, hey, if I was out in the wilderness and I needed a shelter, then I'd build one like this. So we're gonna do the same. Let me get this extra shade cloth here. I'm gonna use some tomato stakes and a little bit of this twine here. Before I get started, I wanna show you just why I'm not really worried about any other parts of my garden, but just this one, and just based on what we've got planted. So the tomatoes will suffer a bit, but based on the way we've planned these out, these aren't really flowering super heavy right now. So we're not worried about flower drop from those. If you come over here, these sweet potatoes, they love the heat. So they're gonna do just fine. That bed down there actually needs to be emptied. It's the old squash bed, so we're not worried about that either. These are black-eyed peas on the trellis, and they absolutely love the heat. No problems with those whatsoever. They look nice and strong. And then we have a Seminole pumpkin here, and these actually really like the heat as well. So we're just gonna leave those the way they are. And the cucumbers, they kind of, you know, it's hit or miss. They can kind of struggle a little bit, but I can't cover that or do anything about that. Can take other precautions though. I can do other things to help with it, but I think I'm just gonna let that one ride for a bit. And then the green beans are fine, and the husk tomatoes will do fine as well. This is actually the shadier part of the garden, so I'm not really worried about it. The peppers and stuff like that, they should be just fine. But we definitely do need to create some kind of structure for this, because as of right now, we're losing our shade for the day, and then we get that afternoon sun comes in right this direction, and it's crazy hot. So we need to get some protection. So let's build this thing. This is a 4x8 bed. So we're gonna take and cut a little bit bigger than 4x8 of this shade cloth here. It's kind of a pain to work with, but get through it just fine. So when I do stuff like this, I don't get crazy on the measurements. Like I don't bust out the tape measure or anything. I just kind of step it out. It doesn't have to be absolutely perfect. What it does need to do though, is it needs to be a little bit bigger than the 4x8. What I do is I just step it out. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So that's right at 8 feet. So that'll be the width. And then 1, 3, 4, 5, 6. So we're gonna go 6 across. All right, there you go. Just a quick, simple lean-to to help out. What I did here is I just took and tied it to the trellis with a little bit of string. Same on the other side. And then I took this and put it in the ground, but I was gonna tie it off right here, but I figured why not just kind of wedge it up here. And then what I can do is tie it. So this is good because the sun will hit this direction right here, and then it'll start blocking the sun. So we'll get midday breaks. Like right now when it starts to hit, it'll be easier on the plant. And then as it comes through, we'll be able to do more. And so right now I just have it like set up on here, but on one of these, there was a little bit of wire left. So if you guys ever use anything like tomato ties or like that rubberized wire or anything, whatever you do, Do not throw that stuff away when you're done. I've been reusing little pieces and chunks of it for years now, and it's worked out amazing. The problem is I can't keep up with it, but when I find it, I'm going to put it on there and just tie it around so it holds it. It'll kind of cinch it on. I was going to tie it tight on there, but I don't really want to do that because I want to be able to remove it if I need to. So we got a little piece of it right here, and what I'll do is I'm just going to cut it in half. This stuff is super easy to cut. And just cinch it on. Now see, this isn't supposed to be a permanent structure. That's why I'm building it like this. This is just for right now to give it a break. And I'm gonna see how it works. I actually really like this. It seems like it's gonna work out pretty well. And it's not perfect. Nothing's perfect. But I think it's gonna really do the trick. I mean, honestly, there is one issue. I didn't make my trellis long enough to come out. I mean, I'd like for it to be like this. But that being said, it's still going to provide a lot of break from the heat, and I still need to take other steps to keep this going. Well, I've definitely upped my watering schedule quite a bit. I went from every 3 days to every 2 days, and then even in the afternoons, like right now, what I'm doing is I'm coming out and I'll turn on the watering for maybe 15 minutes or so just to cool those roots down. I'll overhead water as well. And I really need to make sure that I'm overhead watering them almost daily during this heat. I mean, 98 degrees is crazy hot. I'm standing in the shade and I'm like sweating. So just imagine how they feel. And you can see on the plants too, how they feel. I'll show you. So we come down here and they got beat up pretty bad, but you can see that they're starting to cook underneath. So, I mean, seriously, if I was growing collards right now, and it rained and the sun came out, we'd have steamed collards outside. That's all I got to say. I mean, it's insane. So I'll water them and then just kind of keep on top of them, keep that up there for as long as I need to. And I actually like it so much. Just looking at the shade in it, see that it's providing so much shade, and I have a lot of this cloth left over. I probably got another 2 beds worth to go. I think, no, I take that back, maybe 4 or 5. I'm gonna do one for this bed too, especially because there's a trellis here and here to tie off to. And when I put my cabbage seeds in, I can keep them just a little bit cooler longer. And I think that's gonna work out really good for this. Not to mention, I can do it for this bed back here where this trellis is and just piggyback off these structures. I tell you, I'm really big into backpacking and hiking and all that stuff, and we make lean-tos and shelters a lot. And you know, I never really thought that these survival tactics that we take out there, you know, doing stuff like that would really come in handy. But I mean, damn, you know, now I wouldn't sleep under something that flimsy, but this is an 85% shade cloth. So what that means is it lets 85% of the light through. So it's still going to get light. These are fall plants. They need to stay a little bit cooler. So that's going to help with that. It's going to help retain the water. So between everything that we've got going on with the in-ground system, the mulch, and the shade cloth, we can retain a lot more water in that bed and really help these seedlings kind of get up and going in this heat. It's going to work out good, I hope. I mean, time will tell, right? Who would have thought we'd see 98-degree weather? But I think moving forward, having this shade cloth, the only bed in this part of the garden that would be kind of difficult to use, but I could still make it happen, would be this bed right here. And all I would do is I would just put a post in each corner and then just drape it over top. So if you just have it over the top of you, imagine this, when the sun goes over, you're gonna get that break over the top and give the plant a chance to breathe over that heat. And then as it passes, then it will pick back up. But if you do a little bit of overlap, depending on where the sun goes and it hangs down, you continuously get a little bit more break from that heat if you're having problems like that. The things to look out for would be flower drop, wilting, yellowing of leaves, burning of leaves, stuff like that. I am not above coming out here and spraying down the leaves in the middle of the day, this will help tremendously. It instantly cools it down, and then when it evaporates, it'll continuously cool it down. And the water droplets that you put onto your leaves will not burn your leaves. It is a myth. So don't worry about that. So it is a little bit of a waste of water if you think about it in watering your roots. But as far as like cooling plants down to get them through extreme heat, it works out great. And you can just sprinkle water right on top in the middle of the day. So we're gonna use all of that in order to try and keep this going. And anything that we have that doesn't really like a lot of sun or a lot of heat that's in pots or propagating or anything, we have room now where we can stick it under that shade cloth for a couple of days. And if it rains, it's still gonna get the water through there. So that's a big win too. Goodbye.